Hello everyone and welcome to A Slice of My Life. It is mail call time from Malaysia from a gentleman named Jong Un. That is right, it is Mr. 2J7 EDC himself, and if you guys aren't familiar, he is the man who designed a lot of spinners, most notably a few that were released under Geometrix, known as the Geometrix line. And this package is because I bought something from him. I bought a spinner from him that I missed out on, that I've been wanting. So thank you, Jong Un. If not for you, I wouldn't be able to have this in my hands. But I do have a feeling that there's more than just that spinner in this package because it is pretty large. So I'm gonna crack it open and let's check out what's inside, or what basically Jong Un has in store for us to check out. Here we go. Bubble wrap, and lots more bubble wrap. Always staying true to your game, Jong Un. Wow, super well protected. Wow, what is this? Two 2R Designs boxes. One says Syth or Scythe. Dude, I didn't. What? Dude, what is all this, man? I am at a loss for words. Thank you for your generosity. I don't know what I've done to deserve this from you. And I'm gonna assume that this is the Bladelock, but you've also included a Scythe and something else in here, and I have no idea what it is, but it is in a Geometrix pouch. So I'm gonna open up the Scythe, because wow, man, Jong Un, what? Serial 02? It's made of titanium. Even got a 2R Designs sticker in here. Oh, hold on. The Scythe was also designed by Jong Un. Wow, this is... I don't know what to say. But everyone check it out, it's the Scythe. This was made by 2R Designs and designed by Jong Un. The buttons are two halves held in together via a set screw, but you can see it is a press fit, or glue fit I should say, because you could see a little bit of the adhesive residue there. But wow, yay, actually to own Jong Un's design. This is super light, super light. That's really interesting. Never ever thought I would own this spinner at all. Never ever. Wow, Jong Un, thank you. Your generosity is crazy. So now let's check out this one because this is the one that I've been wanting. This is the Bladelock. Also has a 2R Designs sticker, and it is serial number 10. Stainless steel, just the way I like it. Black oxide. But look at this, guys. Oh, wow. This is brushed. Very nice. Black oxide. Stainless steel buttons. Look at the detail on the buttons, guys. That's some good machining. Ah, I see. Same style, two halves held in together by a set screw, and this looks like it is a glue fit. Yep, it looks like a glue fit. There's a bit of dirt in there, but you know, with a design like this, cutouts like that, it's definitely gonna get a bit dusty. Just gotta clean it up, that's all. So I'm gonna pop the buttons back on, and you guys see that this is named the Bladelock, and that's because it does resemble a knife, you know, like a folding pocket knife, like the lanyard slot and the harpoon top blade and all that kind of stuff. So the ergos on this look to be pretty darn good. Wow, I gotta say, I'm happy that I own this, man. I mean, after all, this is the spinner that I consider as the one that got away. I don't even know why I missed out on it. I just totally missed out. I just wasn't paying attention, and then next thing I knew, you know, it was sold out, and now I own it. Wow, thanks for making my dream come true, man. Jong Un, thank you for selling this to me. Yes guys, I paid for this. Like, it was a standard transaction, but I didn't pay for this and I didn't pay for this. So now moving on, let's just check out what's in this pouch here. I have no idea what to expect. Wait, let's just... Okay, it feels like a bar spinner. It feels very textured. It feels... interesting. Let's just check it out. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I remember this. What? I remember this one. I don't know if you guys remember this one, but I do. I'm gonna have to be asking Jong Un about this, so give me a moment, guys. I'm gonna ask him. I am back after speaking to Jong Un, and I have to admit to you guys that it has been a few days since I filmed the first part of the video. That's because I wanted to, I guess, take the opportunity to spend a bit of time with each of these spinners before I talk a little bit more about them. Now, this one is known as the WAFFLE spinner, and I remember this name and spinner very fondly because Azri, Marcus, Jong Un and myself were talking about it. Now, this was never publicly made for sale. It was just for sale through word of mouth, and this was actually machined by Geometrix. Initially, I have to admit, okay, initially when I saw the renders, I was like, this thing doesn't really look that good. It feels like it's gonna be a whole bunch of hotspots. Why would you want to make something with machine lines and give it a, I guess, a texture that is very close to a pineapple without even realizing that it's actually just all completely rounded? See? And this is not sharp at all. Okay, because, you know, like the GLM tech spinners that I owned were like the Geometrix spinners. And a lot of people would say that the Geometrix spinners had a lot of hotspots. Now, I didn't find any hotspots on those spinners, but I do have to admit that the lines were pretty hard edges. I mean, they were good because it was really, really clean looking. But then I thought, if that was going to be amplified by so many times on this particular design, and right now because I have it in person, I gotta say that this is, okay, it's beyond my expectations. Like, it's just surpassed it all, and it's a really, really nice, I'm struggling to find words, guys, but this is really nice to use. And the fact that I've actually spent some quality time with it, that notion, that positive vibe about it has been amplified by so much. Now, this is so well made, it's all well rounded. You could still see the machining lines, so you know, this has not been purposely stone washed or rounded or anything. But I gotta tell you, man, this is really, really nice to use. Like, I know the spinner was designed and manufactured in like 2017, but even in today's standards, in 2019's spinner standards, this thing can still hold its own, you know, among the sea of spinner designs that we have right now. And this is really comfortable, I gotta admit. All of these angled sides here, the flats here, the edges are hard edges, but they are not sharp. And this texture here is just something else, really something else. I dig this so much. Just look at the reflection. It's nuts. Look at that. Okay, so I'm gonna stop raving about this and give you guys a quick size comparison first before I talk about even more information, okay? We got all these 3 spinners here, and we gotta bring in the stubby. Every spinner here is slightly bigger than the stubby except for the waffle spinner. The waffle spinner is the closest in size, but you know, width-wise, it's a little bit smaller. However, in length-wise, it's a little bit taller. Thickness is roughly the same overall. The blade lock, of course, it's a little bit hard to see because it's multi-material, but there we go. It's about the same. And for the scythe, it is a little bit narrower, not as chubby as the stubby. Chubby. Now let's talk about the blade lock and my quick verdict on it. Visually, it is very, very appealing to me. I think it's cool. It's really sharp looking, as in sharp, like clean sharp. It has this funny design here on the sides, like this little rounding or these like humps. I don't know why it's there. It looks a little bit off. Like, everything is such a nice big swooping curve all across, you know, and then suddenly you have this like I don't know, this one looks a bit odd. Like, if it was flat, I think it would be better. I mean, in terms of design, in the visual sense, you know what I mean? But functionality wise, I mean, it's definitely interesting to feel. It doesn't really look that good, but you know, it's just a personal opinion. I am quite surprised though about the middle piece, because there's no chamfering or no angling done to the side edges here or the corners at all. So it's just hard edges all the way. There seems to be some rounding going on here. You could see that the light is reflecting and showing off that curve there. So there seems to be some rounding happening, but not so much on the actual edge itself. So I'm quite surprised. Like, I thought that maybe just having a little bit of a chamfer would make it slightly more comfortable. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not that bad in terms of handling. And well, it feels good when you pull, but it's when you stop, because of this nub here. Yeah, this nub here kind of hits your finger when you're stopping it. So it depends on how you hold it. See, like that, it hits my finger, and you could switch the orientation up, no problem. But then this way, depending on, I guess, the size of your hand, you might have your middle finger landing exactly on that nub, and that might make it uncomfortable for you. Like, if you have slightly smaller hands or slightly larger hands, it would probably be at a different position, but that's just for me. All in all, I wanted this for the looks, and I am happy with the way it looks. In terms of handling, it's not that great. I gotta admit, man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend anyone. I don't mean to offend you, Jong Un. I don't mean to offend 2R Designs. But handling wise, it's so-so. Now, the last gripe I have, yes, it is a gripe, unfortunately, is the buttons. Now, the buttons are, I guess, a bit lackluster in terms of the way it handles. Now, the way it looks is great. There's multiple steps going down towards the center. It is not dished, but they are steps going inwards, and then there's all these dimples here that actually give it a nice texture. When you touch it, you can actually feel them, but in my opinion, it is not dished enough to provide the kind of grip that you need, because this is a slightly heavier spinner, not as heavy as tungsten, for example, not as heavy as some of the other stainless steel spinners out there, but the fact that it is a little bit longer, I mean, you guys saw when you compare it to the stubby, it is rather long. For me, I actually wish that it was a little bit more dished so I could get more grip on it, because that length itself really promotes pulls, like really strong pulls with both your middle finger and your fourth finger. So that's what this design kind of promotes me to do naturally because of the length itself, but the buttons are kind of like limiting me. And the fact is, I did try to change the buttons out, but this design here limits the buttons that you can use for this. And those of you who have watched some of my Damn Designs spinners reviews, like for example the Schism review, know that I've actually shared some gripe in terms of spinners with designs like this, you know, with that lip, because that limits the width of the buttons that you're able to use. Now the problem with this is that if you find buttons that are too small, they look kind of strange, you know, because I tried to use older GLM Tech buttons with this and they do fit, but they actually show this big ring here and that looks a little bit strange. And to add on to this area over here, what else limits the variety of use of buttons on this spinner is the fact that this is much thicker than a standard press fit style spinner core. You could see that it is slightly raised, not as raised as, say for example, a spinner with a screw cap bearing retention system. So it's right in between, you know. It's not like a Wusa kind of thing where a Wusa is just taller on one side and shorter on one side, but this one is an evenly distributed extra height. So if you get buttons that are meant for spinners with a bearing core, the buttons will stand up too tall and you'll see an obvious gap in between. And then if you try to find a press fit button, if you don't find the right one, it would probably grind on this plate out here, so that's quite limiting. However, I did find these buttons to be very useful. These are the Kepler soap buttons with the Unifit system by Spinetic spinners, and you could see that there's a washer right there. So I'm gonna put the washer down here and pop them onto the Bladelock. Now this, in my opinion, doesn't look as nice as this, you know, versus the stock buttons, definitely because of the details here, but they are more comfortable now because this one actually has a deeper dish and it offers a lot more grip because of those concentric circles. But you could see that there is a gap right there. So really it's a give and take, whichever one you prefer. However, I do have to admit that I prefer the way it handles right now after I made the button swap. So that's my verdict on this guy. It's really a spinner that you would get mainly for looks. Now I haven't had the time to actually remove the plates and see what it looks like, because when I do that, I probably will want to stone wash the middle piece so I could give it a even more obvious contrast. I want to give it that stone washed look and round off these harder edges here, and let's see how that goes, because I might screw up the tolerances here, because right now you can see that the fit and finish here is really good, almost seamless. But that's what I feel about the Bladelock. Now moving on to the last spinner on the table, this is the Scythe. Now this one is also made by 2R Designs, but it is apparently Jong Un's very first spinner design. So this is cool. Like, I actually have another piece of spinner history with me. Thank you, Jong Un, for this. I'm really thankful and I really appreciate your generosity. To have this one in my collection now, this is out of this world. I never even thought that I would have this because, well, honestly speaking, I didn't find this design very appealing, because personally I'm not too big a fan of the Scythe kind of designs. Just in general, I don't really dig scythes. I think they look interesting, but they don't look too cool. And I think that it was during the time when 2R Designs was doing things like, was it called the Hatchet? The one with the two X's, was it called the Tri-X? The X spinner, something like that. I'm sorry, I'm screwing up the names probably. I'll put the correct name on the screen and I'll put a picture here or something so you guys will know what spinner I'm talking about. But to have a Scythe as a design, or the base design of a spinner, to me was just a weird idea. And I mean, it definitely has its own market that it will appeal to for sure, just not to me. But to be presented with this and to now know that this is Jong Un's very first design, it has changed my mind. Now I'm glad that I have it, and I'm gonna put it in my collection for sure. But it is not a spinner that I will be using very often. I gotta be honest, I gotta admit that. In terms of machining, this is really well machined. I've taken a closer look at it and you can see the trademark machining lines that is very 2R Designs-ish, because they always have these curving lines, the steps itself. I'm trying to get the camera to focus here. Let's see if I can do that, because I really want to show you guys those lines. You can see them a bit here in the middle. Just look at where the reflection starts or ends. That's the 2R Designs machining, in my opinion. And then the flats here, even though it is just a little bit, it is brushed, polished and brushed, so you get that awesome two-tone look. You can see the way it reflects light is a bit different from the rest of the spinner, so everything looks kind of matte, a bit dulled out, and then suddenly you have these higher glossy areas here. And then the buttons match these as well, so really it's actually quite a cool looking spinner. In terms of the finish itself, it's very nice. In terms of handling, it is so. I found it more comfortable to handle it from here, because this area doesn't have that sharp hook. I know guys, I know. I'm a fan of the night morning designs, whatever spinner that name is called, but this one is I guess because that one was circular, this one isn't. This one actually snags on my finger a little bit more, and it's not a dedicated bottle opener. So a lot of times I actually find myself having my finger like that, pulling all the way back, and this is where it snags as I release it to spin it. So that's the point of pain for me. But in terms of the actual spin feel, it's very light, very light, because it's titanium, and it's actually quite a nice feedback when it's actually spinning in your hand. I mean, it looks cool, it looks like a spinning ball of fire. But yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that I have this in my collection. Now, I just want to point this out. The reason why I'm so stoked that this is Jong Un's first design is, in case you guys don't know, he is the man who designed a lot of spinners that we use today. For example, the production cube. A lot of you don't realize that the production cube was actually designed by Jong Un. The Spinetic spinners D, N, A, X, Y, and I were also designed by Jong Un. And of course, Jong Un was the man who designed the Geometrix line, the Geometrix V1, V2, Trimetrix, and Xerometrix. It was all by Jong Un. The WAFFLE spinner here is by Jong Un as well. We've got this guy, the Bladelock, by Jong Un as well. And you guys know I'm a huge fan of the single arm asymmetric spinner. That was also designed by Jong Un. So Jong Un alone has come up with so many spinner designs that are in the market all around the world, physical manifestations of his design. I think it's really cool. Jong Un, I've been a supporter of yours since like way back. So I really want to say that you've been a huge part of my life, you know, in this spinner journey. Not just in terms of design and the products that have been put out, but also as a person. I'm glad to have met you, and I'm glad that you are someone that I can call a friend. Thank you for everything, Jong Un, for believing in me, my channel, supporting me in everything that I do, and you have my support as well. Now, out of these three guys, outright, I'm gonna say that this is my favorite out of the three. Yes, I really wanted this because of the way it looks. I'm definitely keeping this, okay? First of all, I'm just gonna put it out there. I really like the design of the Bladelock. But after handling all these three, this one is just... This is a surprise, like a huge shocker, super underdog kind of thing. Now this feels good in terms of just rubbing the flats, and in terms of spinning, it's just awesome. You got that great GLM tech machining, you've got a true press fit core. I mean, surprise, really big surprise. I really like it. And that's about it, everyone. I just wanted to share this with you guys and tell y'all a little bit more about the history of Jong Un, I guess, to show this off to you guys that I got it finally, so yay. Now at this point of time, I want to give a shout out to my patron, Biggs NZ. Biggs, now this is pretty inspiring to me because Biggs actually moved from the Nerf side into the average Singaporean side and now is supporting my Patreon here. So Biggs, thank you for actually supporting me on both channels. I really appreciate it. I don't know how to thank you enough. You've been such a big part of the Nerf community already. You are such an inspiring figure there. And to have you here on board supporting me in what I do, I really appreciate it, man. I don't know how to thank you enough, really. So shout out to you, Biggs. Thank you so much for everything. And if you guys want to support the channel as well, consider having a look at my Patreon page. There's different tiers and rewards and things like that. I'll put a link in the description box down below so you guys can check it out. And if you become a patron of mine, thank you in advance because it really helps the channel out a lot. And that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing in this slice of my life. I hope that you enjoyed this video because I really enjoyed making this, from the unboxing to the talking to Jong Un in between to this part over here. Like, I'm super stoked. Like, getting more and more Jong Un designs is just awesome. Looks like my love for spinners is never gonna stop. As always, everyone, links in the description box down below. I will link you to both Jong Un's Instagram page and Facebook page, but I think that the Instagram is a little bit more, I guess, more active. I don't know if he has any posting schedule. I don't know what's in store for him in the future, but I'll just put links anyway because he supported me, so I'm just supporting him back. And I will catch all of you in the next slice of my life. Until then, everyone, Gaga Boost.